Welcome to the Via Stoica. This is a Stoic quote series where we look at Stoic quotes, we interpret them, we see how we can apply them to life and how they have affected me. Maybe they have influenced you as well to live better. If this quote has, please leave a comment and let me know how it has affected you. Also, subscribe and rate the podcast. We have the episodes every Friday, and every Tuesday we have longer episodes with chats between me, Bryce, and Brendan, and our interviews, which you can also check out. But in this series, we're going to look at some Stoic quotes. We've done a couple of them already, and we're going back to Marcus Aurelius for this one. This one really showed me at the beginning of my journey how practical this philosophy is, and it really applied, and I was able to apply it directly into my life. The day after I read it, I remember that moment distinctly, and I'm going to read it to you. I'm going to share that little story, and I can see about what this really means. And we're going to look at some other translations as well. This is from the Gregory Hayes translation. For those on YouTube, you can see me holding the book up. If you're on the podcast, thank you for joining us. So this one is from book 4.6. Marcus Aurelius, remember, this is his personal journal, right? So he's been writing this by himself, not meant for publication. He had to deal with people who weren't friendly or nice to him. He's mentioned this in other parts of his meditations, but I really like this one because it's sharp, it's short, and it gets to the point. So 4.6, in my version, it goes like this. That sort of person is bound to do that. You might as well resent a fig tree for secreting juice. Anyway, before very long, you'll both be dead and soon forgotten, right? It's a powerful message. It requires a couple of reads to really get to the point. I like that last part, that shows us the shortness of life, but also that we have to learn to let things go. Soon you'll be dead and soon forgotten as well. But it's really about that first point, right? Some other translations might give a little bit of more nuanced information to it. Waterfield says, given the character of the person in question, this outcome was inevitable. To want it not to be the case is to want a fig tree not to have sap. That's in its nature, right? The fig trees, they have sap, right? You hold a fig, it's sticky, the tree as well, right? That's in its nature. Another translation, it is fate that such actions should come from such a man. This is his fate. This is the person. This is who they are, right? Again, another one, with such people, such an outcome is both natural and inevitable, right? We cannot avoid it. It's not something for us to change their nature. If they wish to do so, if they're not living in accordance to who they really are, if they don't have that inner peace and that content state, they should make the changes. It's not up to us. Right? So this person is acting according to its nature. The fact that we are getting upset isn't their fault. It has nothing to do with them. It's all us. Right? We talked about those other quotes, the previous one, the other one I talked about from Marcus Aurelius, about self-reliance. But here we are giving our peace, surrendering our state of mind over to someone else. We are allowing them to affect us in a way that it shouldn't be, because they might just be doing it because that's the way they're doing it. That's what the quote says. They are just acting out of their nature. We are allowing it to affect us, to be frustrated, to be angry, to have that resentment. If you touch the juice or the resin of the fig tree or the sap, your hands are going to get sticky. Are you going to get angry because your hands are sticky because you've touched that tree? No, that's the nature of the tree, the nature of the fruit. And remember, soon you'll be dead. It's also that the other quotes have that as well, right? And even your names won't remain. Not even your names shall remain. I like that part, that they focus more on the names, right? We are going to be gone into nature, back into the logos. Why worry about all of this, right? There's no need to. So when I read this quote, I was working in a school, and I remember distinctly, I had a colleague, and he was just annoying me, right? Frustrating, doing all these little tricks, all these little things. Luckily, I read this quote. When that happened, I had read this quote already, and I was already in a different mindset. It was really getting to me. It was making me frustrated. It was getting angry, and I didn't know how to deal with it. And then I read this quote, and as I read it, I was like, this person is bound to do this way. This person is acting the way he is acting. There's nothing for me to do about this. There's nothing for me to change. What I can change is me, how I act towards this person, how I act when I'm confronted with these stimuli, with these externals. What can I do about it? How can I deal with it? And the funny thing is that once I started thinking about it, I started realizing, I started observing the nature of this person, and I started seeing the humor in it, right? Humor is such an important factor in life. And that's why that second part of the quote for me stood out because it shows us how short we have. Why do things that make us angry? Why do things that take away from the beauty of life when we can find that calm and that peace? So I started looking at this person. I started recognizing their actions because I started noticing them to be their nature. I started looking at them from a different way. I started becoming the observer, creating that cognitive distancing, where instead of seeing the impression and feeling that emotion drive those feelings instantly because that action was directly related to my feelings and how I looked about it. I saw them first for what they were. They weren't an attack to me personal. They weren't something that was being done to me. There was something being done in front of me. And then I could really see for what they were. And then I could decide on the right action. Sometimes that right action was to step away because there was no need to engage. Sometimes the right action was to engage, to do the right thing, maybe for me, but also maybe for someone else, right? Sometimes it is our duty, our social duty to step in and to protect or to prevent harm from being done to others. So sometimes it was to show my boundaries. Once we start to find the true nature of the people we are dealing with, we can better decide what action to take from a more calm state of mind. Instead of letting our feelings and emotions take over, we might do something we regret. That's something I've really learned from this quote. It changed my approach to other people, but it also changed how I read these quotes because I saw the applicability of these texts to my life. And that's when I started reading them completely different. So that's why I like this quote. That sort of person is bound to do that. You might as well resent a fig tree for secreting juice. Anyway, before very long, you'll both be dead and soon forgotten. Remember this when you are dealing with someone who is just annoying you and is frustrating. Remind yourself that this is how they are. This is who they are. This is their nature. They're just doing what their nature is asking of them. And then we have got to do the same. But we can find a filter. We can find the right course of action, the virtuous course of action, not to fall into the same behavior as they do, because that's going to upset us. That's going to take us away from our content and peaceful life. No, we can be better. And that's what we've got to try. And by doing so, we can even set the right example for them to think about their lives, how they are doing, and what kind of behavior they are possessing, thus making them better as well, making them more at peace. Anyway, that's the quote for today. Let me know in the comments what you thought about this, what your interpretation is, how you would be able to apply it to life, and think about the people you might be able to use it on, to practice it. There's so many other quotes that we have on viastoica.com. You can check them out. Just go to the blog or Google via Stoica, Epictetus quotes, or in this case Marcus Aurelius quotes. You'll find hundreds of quotes there with their references for you to use. We have the other episodes on Tuesday, every Tuesday with Brendan and Bryce, myself, or we have guests on. If you need help with these concepts, you can go to viastoica.com. You can book a free consultation, speak to any of us, and talk about how we can help you, what kind of products we have, and see how we can help you live a better and more peaceful life. So those are the things that we have. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Hopefully we'll see you in another episode again.